The pressure is on the West Ham board, not just from West Ham fans, though, and this could be crucial. Over the last 24 hours, we've seen mainstream media turning their attention to the West Ham board as well. They're covering the protests which were announced by Hammers United last week. There's going to be a protest prior to the Crystal Palace game, and then the following home game, which is against Brentford. Hammers United are encouraging a boycott from West Ham United fans of that match. And in the last 24 hours, we've seen some of the big journalists and newspapers from the UK covering these protests. And it's getting too big to ignore now. Even the board of West Ham United can't ignore this. They can try and ignore West Ham fans all they want. And I think they do a good job of it sometimes, but don't think they can ignore the mainstream media. I think half the battle, if you're going to do a protest like this, like half the battle is getting the mainstream media on your side, getting them reporting what you're doing and doing it in favorable terms as well, or at least neutral terms. Report what's happening, and that's it. At worst, do not give an opinion. And I think that's happened, actually. I do think the West Ham fans' protest side of things are winning the mainstream media battle at the minute, Frankie.
Yeah, it's good news. And look, we're all in this YouTube world, and this is where we consume information. Not everybody. It's surprising these days, but not everybody is in this world. So, the fact that the typical type press publications are picking this up, it gets the word even further to other people about what's going on. So that doesn't help the board whatsoever, because even the more traditional West Ham fan who are not on social media are going to pick it up as well. So, yeah, I mean, we've seen it from them before. They've got form. We've been here quite a few times. And every single time something seems to have happened which has let the pressure off them, whether it be COVID coming along or other things that have happened. We've kind of always got them on the ropes, and then something has happened that's let them off the hook. So, yeah, I mean, it's always going to come back round because things have not been addressed. Things have not been dealt with. There's a lot of frustrated West Ham fans out there. I'll be honest with you, Gio. I'm probably, and you know how West Ham is my world, it's my life. I absolutely love it and still do, even for all of what's happened. It is probably, without question, the most disillusioned and the most... It's the first time ever I've really potentially prioritised other things over going to West Ham matches. And that's never, ever happened.
Yeah.
For me, if a fixture comes out, I'm going to West Ham. It's that simple. Look, life has changed for me a little bit, and I've got other football that goes on in my life that also I need to prioritise. However, we would still have always gone straight from an end of our fixture straight to West Ham. That experience for me, and there are a few little things that people are trying. There's a few new fan events that have popped up in and around West Ham, but that's so distant from the actual stadium itself that even if you enjoy anything that's going on in and around Stratford, by the time you start walking to that stadium, it's such a long distance. By the time you reach the queue, any excitement you've built up dissipates completely. And yeah, I just don't enjoy West Ham anywhere near like I used to. So I'm glad that people are back on this train. I'm glad that people are starting to put pressure on again. I just hope, Gio, that with the support of the press, the typical media, and it seems like they've lost their control a little bit, because every time this has happened before, anytime something's come around, they've done a very good job on making us look like the bad guys, making us look like we're whinging for the sake of whinging. What are all they on about? What do West Ham expect? Who are West Ham? Blah, blah, blah. But that might still come. But at the moment, it seems like the control is firmly with us, and we've got to push this now as far as we can.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm sensing a difference in reporting from some of the journalists compared to years gone by, in the sense that I think they're more pro West Ham fans, whereas before I thought they were perhaps pointing the finger and saying, ungrateful West Ham fans, what do you expect? What do you think you should be, kind of thing? And I feel like that's changed a little bit, which is important, because I don't think the board care much about what West Ham fans think. I think they just see us as a noisy minority sometimes, because the fact of the matter is, a lot of the people that are upset with the board and want to see change no longer attend the games at West Ham United. So they'd maybe be correct by suggesting that the noisy lot don't go to the games, and that's why the London Stadium is quiet, because a lot of those upset with them no longer actually attend the matches. But I think they dismiss West Ham fans a lot. It's all West Ham fans saying that. I think there's a bit of a what do they know attitude from the club. But I do think they care about what the mainstream media think. I do think they care about the narrative. And I think we've seen actions in the past from the board, and I include David Gold in this when he was with us, with him, Brady and Sullivan, where they'll go on, usually Talk Sport or something, where they know they'll get a cushy ride. They know they'll get to answer the questions. It's already been approved pre-interview and stuff like that. But that's what they're doing. They're trying to control the narrative. They're trying to put out what the message they want. And they're not addressing me and you and Frankie. They're addressing everyone else. They're addressing people who perhaps don't support West Ham. They're addressing the journalists. They're addressing everyone that'll listen, but not really West Ham fans. They don't really care about us lot. It's the rest of them. And if they can control that narrative, then they're all right with that. So I think when the mainstream media start putting pressure on them and start turning their attention to them, I think they're going to get uncomfortable. And it's going to be interesting to see how they react. Now, for those that don't know, Hamish United have proposed 2 protests. When I say proposed, they're going ahead. They've arranged. These are happening. The first one is a meet-up before the Crystal Palace game, which is where the directors come in to the London Stadium. So when they rock up at the ground before Crystal Palace, that's where they'll be met with a load of West Ham United fans upon route to the ground. So they can't ignore that. And the second one is we play Brentford in the following home game, and it's a boycott. They're encouraging and asking West Ham fans to boycott that game and as many numbers as possible, so that when the Sky cameras pick it up, it's a case of, wow, the stadium's half empty. Here's why it's half empty. West Ham fans are boycotting this match because of X, Y, Z. And what you do is you spark that conversation with pundits. You force the journalists to discuss it. You force the Sky pundits to discuss it, because you can't ignore it. Visually, it's there. It's the elephant in the room. You have to address it. Now, I did a video with Paul over the weekend. I'll put the link to that video in the description below, and it will be at the end of this video. And he is the chair of Hamish United, and you'll be able to hear why they're proposing these protests, and also the fact they're doing a protest for every single home game for the remainder of the season. And the aim of Hamish United's protests is to get Sullivan and Brady to step down and to resign. And I appreciate a lot of people will say, I'm not happy with that. I want Sullivan to sell up. Completely understandable. I don't think you'll find yourself alone with that. But Sullivan can't sell the club tomorrow. You need someone to buy it. And it's a long process anyway. But what Sullivan can do is resign as chairman of West Ham United tomorrow. What Sullivan can do is sack Karren Brady. What Sullivan can do is, along with Kretinsky and other board members, is employ people to run West Ham United. You don't have to own the football club to run the football club. There's plenty of examples. You look at Newcastle United, when they got taken over, the first thing they did was put football people in place at that football club. When you look at Manchester City, go get the best football people to run Manchester City. We've got the money, but we don't know how you run a football club. So we'll leave it to the people that do. We'll employ the best in the business in their fields and let them get on with it. And that's the proposal here, what Sullivan and Brady do, which is step aside, get out of the way, get people in there that can run West Ham better and competently. Are you on board with that ambition, Frankie?
Yeah, I'm on board with the ambition. And I'm not putting anything negative on here. I think us as fans have got a role, and we've got a duty to... Look, Joe, for me, West Ham is a shadow of what it used to be. And when I take Albi, it's not the same. And I really want West Ham. We're never going to get back to how it used to be. I think all West Ham fans, even without what's happened, always look back more fondly on their time as a child at football. Yeah, I think that's just a natural thing. But it's so far removed from what I knew what West Ham is as a culture, as a fan base, that we just need to bring some of that spark back. It's so important. So we need to do our bit. I just hope we maintain that momentum. The key thing that was said in there is that this will be maintained all the way until the end of the season. You can't keep having these moments where you go to do something and then it stops. And then we go to do something, and then Karren Brady goes, oh, all the West Ham channels, come and have a chat with us and all sit down, and everyone goes with their tails between their legs, feeling important, get spoken to by what are, and this is the reality of it, very clever manipulators, very intelligent people. Whether you like them or whether you don't, that's what they are, right? So they're very good at twisting people around their little finger, giving people little bits of information that pacifies them and makes them feel better. And we had it before that everyone rocked back to their YouTube channels and went, oh, they've promised they're going to do this, this, and this, and now we're going to see if that happens. No, you don't let it happen. You keep pushing until change happens. Until you see it for your own eyes, you've got to keep marching forward. You cannot let them do what they've done all of these previous times. So we need to keep the pressure up. We need to keep on them. And hopefully we can force it so we get a bit of our old West Ham back, Gio, and we can all be proud of it again, and we can all start to get back over there and enjoy it. Anyone who says it's done, the example you just said, Newcastle, proves that it's not over. Everyone who says, oh, West Ham died when we left Upton Park, it's not. I know Newcastle's still in their amazing stadium. I love St James's Park, by the way. I know that part of it's there, but all it takes is everyone to be back on all together, pushing forward in the right direction again. They had those people who came in who said, right, what do you want for post-match music? What do you want for pre-match music? What do you want for pre-match entertainment? What flags do you want in the stadium? All of these things to get behind and support the group of lads who are trying to get the atmosphere going in the corner of the stadium. They need support. They need the actual club to turn around to them and say, we will help get more people who want to make noise over in that corner so we can really start to pick that atmosphere up. It isn't, in my eyes, Gio, that difficult to start to get things back. Take the wall down. That's the starting point. Get the wall gone. I'm just really hoping, and this is not me being negative towards Hammers United, but we must make a very clear, it is about them stepping down, but also you have to have, once they step down, what is it you actually want? In business and in anything like this, you can't just say, oh, I want that person gone. You've got to have your reasons why, and you've got to have what you want to be different. Because when that change happens, there needs to be a clear agenda. All the time you're just saying, oh, I want them gone. That's when the media will turn around to us and say, well, what is it you do want then? Similar to the West Ham manager. It's no different, Gio. When we all go, oh, we want David Moyes. Well, what do you want? Like it's exactly the same scenario. So we need to be very clear on what it is we're actually fighting for. What are the things that we want to see different at West Ham? And it's staying with politicians, Gio. They always have their manifesto. They always have their agendas. They always have down what change it is that they want to bring. So that's the next bit that I want to see. We know we need those personnel taken out of it. They've proved that they're incompetent of running the football club. But if they're gone, what is it that we're not happy about, and what is the change that we want to see?
Amen. I do think Hammers United have got all that emotion. There's quite a lot going on behind the scenes at Hammers United. It's not really my news to tell, but they've got a lot of plans lined up, because there are a few things lined up for the concessions that they didn't have to do because they ended up winning and the concessions got reinstated. So they had some cards up their sleeve that they didn't have to play in that battle with the club. So I do know
just on that, Gio, though, just on that. And I will give kudos massively to Hammers United for supporting that and getting behind it and bringing awareness to it. But what I'm saying here again, what I've just said about how important the fan role is, if we all rock up and just ignore what the directions are, and we're not lined in them streets on the way, and there's only a handful of us, the board get to laugh at us. If we say we're going to boycott Brentford and everyone still rocks up, it doesn't look great. The reason why those concessions massively was overturned, Jerry, is because season ticket renewals were so low. It was the fans that said, I'm not having it, I'm not doing it. And that was the big driving factor. Yes, it all started from what Hammers United did. I'm not saying it didn't. I'm not saying I'm not giving credit to them. But it was the fans that made the difference. The fans will always make the difference here. It doesn't matter whether it's Hammers United driving it. It doesn't matter whether it's another group driving it. If we're together and we are united, that's what's the important factor here. The fans need to be united. If we're united together on our calls, we will drive this thing forward.
Yeah, the West Ham Independent Supporters Committee put up an open letter on social media today that they sent to the club. And they are made up of various different groups that the club liaise with quite often. So it'll be like the Pride of Irons, the disability, the groups that are there to help fans access and enjoy West Ham United more. And they've put a letter in. I'm not going to read out because it's quite long, and there's a couple of words in there that I don't know what they mean. There's some big words in there, but I thought it was quite significant because they were the last group I would expect to sort of join the protests, if you like, because they do work with the club and they have to work with the club as well. They're trying to make change at the London Stadium to make it a safer environment or a better environment for a lot of match going fans. So they have to have a relationship with the club. But I've always personally, it's just me, I've always personally viewed them as a little bit, I don't know how to word this, like a pawn in on the chessboard for West Ham United, and it's like, oh, we'll do this, oh, it's because of that law, and then it's almost like, oh, we'll give you, flag to wave around behind the goal because that group asked for it and whatever. And I always felt a little bit like virtue signaling by the club. Oh yeah, we speak to fans, we get this group in, and do you know what I mean? I always felt like group was maybe a bit, I don't know how to word it, soft, perhaps. Because I thought their priorities were different to what other fans' priorities were. But so to see them put that open letter up, I was quite surprised, pleased, but quite surprised as well to see them supporting the protests. And I think that'll be a blow for the club, and in particular Karren Brady, because it's her that deals with them usually. I'd imagine they thought they had that group on side to some extent. Say, we've got a good relationship with them. They're not going to kick up much fuss. So to see them come out in support of the protest with their open letter today, and I'll put the link in the description below if anyone wants to go read it. That was, I don't know, felt quite significant for me actually. I thought, wow, okay, because I think the club can ignore a lot of noise, but I think when that group gets involved, I think it's difficult for the club because they've already got that open dialogue. So when they reach out to the club and say, here's quite a well-written letter addressed to the likes of David Sullivan, Daniel Kretinsky, saying, we're supporting the protests, yous aren't good enough. A vote of no confidence, that's what it was. It was a vote of no confidence. I thought, wow, okay, that's quite important. So yeah, I was pleased. Anything you'd like to add about the protests, Frankie?
No, I think I've pretty much said everything there is to say. I'm just looking forward to getting over there and getting everyone standing together, shoulder to shoulder, Gio, because that's what West Ham's all about.
Well, between Hamish United announcing the protests and today, quite a few things have happened, Frankie. We beat Nottingham Forest. A big win.
Fantastic result. Yeah, really good.
It was a good performance. Big win. I'm not going to lie. I was relieved on Sunday, but I was so happy on Sunday, and that mood carried me into Monday. To be fair, even right now, Wednesday morning, I think I'm still quite happy off the back of that win on Sunday. But winning football matches is fun. It adds morale, and I think that's what's happened for me. It's given me a proper boost, actually, seeing us win quite comfortably, but also, I don't know, that last 10 minutes was just exciting. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a long time coming. As I said to you, we went and watched it all together. Loads of West Ham fans, and like you just said, Joe, there was two stark contrasts. I watched Chelsea in Croatia with loads of West Ham out there, and getting done, and the way that we got done just put such a sour taste in your mouth. It ruined the whole evening. Like it's such a horrible feeling when it happens in football, and it was the polar opposite against Forest. It's never been always about winning with me with West Ham. We kind of get used to losses, but there's no question that the people around you, and I always know that I notice the people around me are always watching for West Ham to get a result because I'm a happier person afterwards. So it's that they look forward or they dread if we get those sort of defeats like we did against Chelsea. Look, I still don't think that everything has been resolved. I was so happy to see that back four. I think it made a massive difference to us. We looked so much more organised. We looked less vulnerable. I was over the moon with the tactical change because, like I said to you, I didn't think anything could be done to solve what was happening if Potter was going to stick with that same formation, that same system that he played all season so far. So the fact he changed it was brilliant. It showed that there is something to work with there, just not in that awful 5 at the back system that he was trying to use. And yeah, we was absolutely loving it. I've never seen so much celebrations in a pub over just a standard Premier League game, Gio.
Yeah.
Everyone was really buzzing, so it was good.
It felt important though, that win, because obviously a defeat, 3 losses out of 3, that's difficult. And you've got 2 weeks till the next game, and the next game Spurs at home as well. So the feeling would have been one of misery, but to win. And I still think Forest away is going to be a difficult fixture. You know, they won the first game, drew the second game, then we've rocked up and looked very comfortable against them, to be honest with you. Even though until we scored, we were well worthy a point from that game at least, because I think we kept them at arm's length. We were looking okay, we were looking comfortable, but it just felt like such an important win for the players, for Potter, for the fans. And it was nice to see. I thought I felt a real togetherness with the players as well, which isn't something that I've felt, you know, this season during the games and stuff. Like you said, Chelsea just a week ago, they couldn't have looked more fragmented if they tried. And then against Wolves, you got Jared Bowen half climbing over the advertising board. You got, bloody hell, we got to this point already in the season. But yet, Forest, just a handful of days later, completely different set of attitudes from the players. And it was I think it was just reassuring that actually, well, you always say we've got a good squad and stuff, and I think we demonstrated that because the players coming off the bench had a big impact too, and it was nice. And also Potter has had a lot of criticism, and deservedly so. But I thought he pretty much got everything right on Sunday against Nottingham Forest. His starting 11, formation changes, substitutions, everything spot on, which was good, because you're always looking for evidence as to reasons why things could be good. And up until Forest didn't really have any. We've got quite a bit. Plus, we've got that celebration from Lucas Paqueta as well. Thank you.
It was good. I noticed it straight away, and a couple of the other lads around the table hadn't seen it. But it was, it was brilliant, weren't it? And one of those moments that you keep seeing for the following week afterwards. It was so good.
Very iconic. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. It was one of the subscribers said on my video yesterday, it felt like Paqueta had fell back in love with West Ham. And I completely get what he meant, because obviously everything's going on with the FA, and then there was talk of him leaving all summer. A lot of talk of him leaving in that 24 hours leading up to the game against Nottingham Forest. Then he scores that goal, 3 goals in 3 games now, and then that celebration. And it was almost like the equivalent of just signing a new contract. Like, I am staying at this club, and, you know, Villa can do one on West Ham. I love players like that. I absolutely love them. You know, come in, show commitment. And the fans will appreciate it, and it was a good celebration, and it's one that's going to be remembered for a little while as well. I'm a big fan of it. One of my favorite things. We scored 3 goals, but one of my favorite things about the match was a celebration rather than the actual gameplay or anything like that. It felt significant from Paqueta, and I'm very, very happy. Anyway, Frankie, transfer window closed. You happy with the business?
I think time will tell. I don't think we've pulled up any trees. There's nothing there that I've gone, wow. Do you know what, though, Gio? We've had a few previous windows where it felt like we may have gone and had, and people did. I've heard the last few windows, people turning around and saying, oh, it's a 10 out of 10 window and all this sort of stuff, and it hasn't worked out that way. Maybe a steady window is what we needed. If all these players come in and just be squad players and add value to the squad, maybe that's the right thing for us right now, because like you said, we've kept Paqueta now. You've still got Bowen out there. We've still got some good players around it. I'm still a little bit disappointed that there was no striker to come in. I still think we could. I think we could regret that further into the season. But for now, I don't want to put any dampeners on it. You know?
Yeah, I think it was going to take more than one window to fix this squad. When you look at the players that we brought in last summer compared to now, hardly any of them are still here. Never mind, being a success at West Ham. Then you look at the squad that won the Conference League. I think there's only 5 players left. We only won it 2 years ago. So that just goes to show how much change there has been at West Ham there's been a lot of change. And I think we brought in, obviously, Wilson's not included here, but the rest of them are not just on the younger side of things, but very young as well. You know, Juve 20, Fernandes 21, Magassa 21. We brought in some real young players into the squad that you like to think in 5-6 years they're still going to be at West Ham. And we've reduced the average age of the squad and starting 11 down quite a bit already. I think the wage bill's been cut by about £500,000 a week or something. It's a significant saving, you know, £25 million less a year on wages. And actually, I would argue that the squad, I don't think it's worse off. You know, you swap Emerson for Juve, that's okay. I think we've upgraded from Soufal to Walker-Peters. Not prime Soufal, but we didn't have prime Soufal anymore. We had Soufal that was getting skinned every week by a fast winger. That's the version we had. I think we've upgraded from him to Kyle Walker-Peters. Igor, I'm not a big fan of, but I wasn't a big fan of a Gerd. So let's just say neutral for that one for me. I think Fabianski to Hermansen's a downgrade currently, but hopefully Hermansen will come good and go on and become a really good sign. If he can do what Fabianski done in terms of legacy at West Ham, that will be an excellent signing for us. I think Wilson's an upgrade on Danny Ings, because that's who he's replaced in the squad, and I think that's an upgrade. You know, Fernandes has come in and replaced Kudus. The Kudus we know how good he can be. No, it's not an upgrade. The Kudus we've seen for the last 12 months, then it's hard to say it's not an upgrade. He didn't offer very much. And then we've got Magassa and Alvarez. Now, that one, jury's out for me. But I think I'm neutral with the transfer window. There's a lot of positives and a few negatives for me, so it balances it out a little bit. I'm just lacking that striker and also the centre-backs. I think I would have liked to have seen a good centre-back come in rather than just cover. But it's all right. It's not a terrible window. I just don't think it's a great one either. I think it's just okay.
No, do you know what? We might be better off for it, though, Gio. I actually think that Paqueta and Fernandes done more as a partnership in midfield in that game than Paqueta and Kudus did all season.
Yeah,
I actually felt like they were really on a level with each other, and I'm excited to see that that grow, to be honest.
Anything else you'd like to add before we disappear? I've left the academy because I want to talk about that in a separate topic. Obviously, we've just lost a really good youngster. Orford's gone out on loan as well, so I'd like to keep the academy thing separate. Anything else you'd like to add, not West Ham Academy related?
No, all good.
Well, thank you to you guys at home. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for sticking with us. If you enjoyed the podcast, please do kindly drop a like on it and subscribe. You'd have a chat with myself and Frankie. We'll catch up with you in a bit.